Hello YouTube, welcome back to a more traditional ASMR video this time. I know last time, in my rush to try to get something for ASMR out, I didn't upload something that was most of your cups of tea, and I understand and apologize if you guys were disappointed by that. Today, we're just gonna be back to good old tapping. So, we'll be doing a little bit of whispering and soft-spoken, whatever I feel like doing in the moment as I'm going. Oh, I forgot to do something quickly. There we go. So, when I do my ASMR, I like to set it so that I'm hearing the audio into my headphones, so I can get a good idea of what you guys are listening to and make sure it sounds good. One thing I remember from one of my older videos of ASMR is finding a noise, like a specific noise I like, and I would keep changing and then kind of going back a little bit to that specific noise and then changing. But for this, I'm gonna keep it like this for like 5 minutes. That's the plan. Because this noise in particular, I think sounds really good. And I might need to pause to give my fingers and hands time to rest. Because this is more exhausting than some of the other ways of tapping this item, but it sounds so nice. I hope you guys like it too. If not, well, you're gonna be listening to a sound you don't like for like 5 minutes, so. So for this sound, I'm not gonna talk as much, but once I get past this, I'm gonna talk a bit more about life, general stuff that I've been up to. So, hope you don't mind. But for now, just focus on the sound of this tapping. And I'm tapping the exact same way. specific frequency of tapping. One thing that I'm noticing from looking at my recording, I have something on my chin, or cheek, lip. There you go. Alright. So, yeah, one thing, because I listen to my ASMR, because even though I'm listening to it in the playback right now, like I'm having the audio play in my ears, it sounds different in the final version. I do some editing to the audio to make it sound a little bit nicer and stuff, so. And then I'll try listening to my ASMR to see if I find it relaxing. Because if I find it relaxing, I'm sure some of you will. So, anywho, to kind of talk a bit about some stuff I want to talk about. Some of this will be repeats from my Slay the Spire video that most of you didn't watch, which, again, totally fair. That was not something I should have even probably done on my part, because it was just not at all what you guys were deserving of. I just was in such a panic to try to get something out, because I was putting a bunch of pressure on myself internally to make sure I get you guys something. And it wasn't as good of something as it should have been, so I'm sorry about that. But so basically, and this will actually give a ton of context to just how crazy it can get for some of this stuff for me, but my work situation's been pretty stressful for me, pretty crazy. Because on top of how stressful the job itself is, I have to wake up super early, and I get home late. So, like, I wake up at 5 in the morning to get ready for work, and I don't get home till usually 6 p.m. type of thing. Which, you know, wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't for the fact that, like, 2 to sometimes 2.5 hours of that time is on the road. So A, I'm not getting paid for it, and B, traffic going through construction and stuff is soul draining. So I get home and I just feel exhausted and dead. And so then what has been happening over these past few months is I'm trying to get all my personal stuff done on the weekends. So, you know, recording, video editing, all that stuff I try to get done on the weekends, but that just makes me stressed on the weekends too, to the point where I'm like, I'm not using my time 100% efficiently. You know, I need to be doing this and this and this and this, because my time isn't being managed perfectly. You know, I can be having this kind of fun right now. I have to get this done first, then I can have fun, you know, that kind of stuff. And it just makes it so that I'm non-stop stressed. And it's not just YouTube stuff. Like, I'm not at all blaming YouTube stuff that I've been doing for this. There's a lot of tasks that, you know, will just naturally come up that you have to do. Even something as simple as laundry, taking care of the cats, doing chores, you know. On the weekdays, by the time I get home, I still have all these tasks to do. So it feels like I have no time to just enjoy myself hardly anymore. On the weekends, I'm trying to just make up for lost time throughout the week. So, and the thing I was talking about earlier, to give you some context as to just how bad it is, I bought the Dead Space remake back in June, and the plan was to play it and record it finish my Resident Evil series. And I haven't even played it yet. And it's September. Because I've just not had the time to do it. I've been doing all this other stuff. And to be fair, part of it is the fact that my Resident Evil series has taken a while. And going forward, I talked about it in my final Resident Evil video, which has been recorded. And might be up, no, probably won't be up by the time this is up. But for those types of series going forward, I didn't like the pace I was going at. So I think I still want to keep like the 40-minute video length. But instead of once a week, I need to do 2 week videos. Which means basically, once I start recording a series like that, I'm going to give myself an extra week, basically, to edit it before I start uploading, so that I have like a bigger backlog, and then I can afford to upload 2 videos a week. Because it takes months, or it is taking months, for the Resident Evil 4 game to be done. So I don't think it's fair to you guys. I don't think it's just good for YouTube's algorithm either. So going forward, so this, for example, was like a 20 episode series. 23, I think 22, 23 will probably be how many episodes there are. And doing that once a week, well, that's, what, 5 months almost. Maybe I'll even just do longer episodes and twice a week. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do like hour and a half recordings or something. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. Part of it has to do with the algorithm, and I'm not sure what the algorithm is like promoting right now as far as video length goes. So either way, though, my future series like that will not take this long to finish. So, and to be fair, we're learning as we're going, we're having fun, improving in the process, adding new things to my videos. Like, I genuinely think the difference between my first, video in the series and my most recent ones, there is a change in quality for the better that's noticeable, and I hope I will continue to get better with every new video. That's the goal. It doesn't necessarily mean that every video is better than the last, because, there might be a gold mine of an episode hidden in the middle of something. But I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to improve the parts I can improve, regardless of those other circumstances. Like, an episode might be really cool because of like a boss fight or something, and then the next episode might not have anything super interesting set piece wise. But I don't want my boss video to feel like it was also higher quality production. Like, I want them all to feel like they're high quality production value. I want to get there to that. So, yeah. But yeah, I tried launching the Dead Space remake, and it will not launch. I don't know why. I'm guessing it has to do with stupid Windows 11. So I was going to record a bit before I did this, because I have a day off today. Well, I took the day off today for lots of factors, but so I wanted to, on my day off, get a bunch of recording done for stuff, but lo and behold, the Dead Space remake doesn't want to listen. So if I can't get this working, I'll have to figure out something else for my next playthrough. So, but I would love to hear your thoughts. If any of you have listened or watched my Steelbook's the Deep Fabulous film, that's gonna be the title for my full series, Fabulous Films. Maybe it's a little cheesy, but I got a brand, and I gotta make it work. So, but yeah, I'm very excited to start that, and that's gonna be the trend going forward for all my videos. Is I'm just gonna have, once the series ends, I'm gonna do some extra editing, cut out some stuff like, welcome back, and that's gonna do it for this episode. that kind of stuff. Gonna cut those out. And then make streamlined uploads of all my series. So if you want to watch it all in one sitting, you can do that too. And I know some people like to watch stuff like that when they're going to sleep, and so that helps with that. Because for some people, ASMR isn't what they use to sleep. They just need some background noise. So just having something like that up in the background while they're sleeping helps them fall asleep. And I get that, because I have to have Game Grumps compilations on in the background to sleep, basically. So I totally get it, and I want to help in whatever way I can. So I would be honored if I had any of you guys sleep, whether it be with my ASMR or my gameplay stuff. Even if you fall asleep to the gameplay, I won't be offended. It's definitely not because I'm boring or anything. It's just how it works, you know. No, but for real, if you guys watch any of those and help you sleep, then awesome. Hell yeah. Power to the people. Whatever the heck. So, yeah, that's pretty nice. I'm hoping for a change of schedule too soon. But I won't go into too many details, but there are some factors that might open up my schedule a bit more. Might give me some extra leniency to do stuff at my own leisure and make me more excited to do all these fun products I have. So, yeah. Let's try just one hand now. A little bit lighter sound. So, I know I've talked about all these ASMR things I want to do. You know, I love crafting ASMR being one of them that I've talked about a lot. Having a free time to do. But if my schedule ends up changing, and I have time to devote a lot more resources into spending like potentially 3 hours on an ASMR video so I can do that kind of thing, that will be the first project for that. But at the moment, it's just not really plausible with my schedule. But another one I want to do. So, as I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 lately. I finished my first playthrough, and me and a good friend of mine, are in Act 3 of an honor mode playthrough, and we still have our honor mode status. So, but in my first playthrough, I didn't end up doing the House of Hope. For those of you who know what that is, you know. If you know, you know. But I was getting to the end of the game, and I was really excited to start a new playthrough. So I was doing all the side quests, but I was not rushing. But I was like, okay, we're almost at the end of the game, and I already have all these new things I want to experiment with. So I kind of want to just beat the game, see how the ending is, so I can start doing new stuff too. Maybe you can relate to that. I don't know. But anyways, I started doing the quest for the House of Hope, and I got a bug. That locked me out of it. And so I didn't want to reload a save or try to figure out a solution. So I just said, alright, well, whatever. I'm just not going to do it this playthrough, I guess. But we did it in our honor mode. And boy howdy, was that awesome. Really cool. Especially the boss fight. And on honor mode, it was even cooler. So, but it kind of got me thinking, with all the lines there are in that game, and just the general demeanor he has, I thought I could also be fun to do like a ASMR roleplay of Raphael from Baldur's Gate, who's come to make you a deal in order to fix your problems. This lack of sleep that's been plaguing you, type of thing, you know. So I thought that could be kind of a fun roleplay. I don't know how good it'd be, but that'd be fun. So, yeah. So, yeah, if you have any suggestions for things, any series you might want to see in the future, I know once October comes and Silent Hill 2 remake comes out, I'm going to be playing and uploading that immediately because I am not optimistic, to be completely blunt. I am worried by some of the things I'm seeing, but to be fair, I was also worried by some of the stuff I saw for the Resident Evil 4 remake, and that ended up being a blast. Still don't think it's as good as the original, but that could be bias speaking, because I've beaten the original 23 times, so, you know, could be that too, but also, I think that speaks volumes about how good the game is, that I can enjoy playing through it 23 times, so, yeah, anyways, so there's that, but, you know, I'm not the most optimistic for the Silent Hill 2 remake, but I pray that it does well and succeeds, because I would love nothing more than for the Silent Hill franchise to get a much deserved renaissance or revival or, you know, new era. That's good, because those are fantastic games, at least the ones that were made by the original team. And to be fair, I enjoyed Homecoming, even if it wasn't as good. I enjoyed Downpour to an extent, not as much as Homecoming personally, but I did have fun with those games, but they're not really good games, at least on the scale of Silent Hill, at least by the standard that the first, 4 games set. Because maybe this is a hot take or an unpopular opinion, but I also think Silent Hill 4 The Room was spectacular as well. But I understand why it wasn't as well received and why people don't like it as much, because the game does a very good job of making you feel like a claustrophobic shut-in and making you dread going outside, because it does an amazing job putting you in the shoes of the main character, because he is like a shut-in who's got severe anxiety about going outside type of thing. So and the game makes it really difficult to keep going outside, without going into too many details of the mechanics. And maybe that's not even intentional, but I like to think it is, because the team has a track record, their first 3 games, of doing that of doing amazing work with that kind of thing. So I like to think it is. But on the same side of that, though, the flip side of that coin, it's very immersive from a story standpoint, but the video game gameplay parts of it, the decisions they made to incorporate that into it, are not as fun, and they can be even frustrating. So, a lot of people aren't really gonna care too much about that. They just want to play a game they want to play, So, for them, they would much rather not have that in the game. And that is totally fair and valid. So I'm not going to judge anybody for that. But me personally, though, I think it's an amazing game, too. And to be fair, I don't think it's as good as 2 or 3, or probably even 1. But I think it's, in the same realm, just, slightly lower. So, maybe, 0.2 out of 10 lower, however you want to rate it, it's not at the exact same level, but pretty dang close. So I really hope the Silent Hill gets a good treatment. I mean, just the town as an idea to me is so fascinating. It's a place you go without going into, all the crazy lore in it. But the idea behind it, in essence, is people that end up going there, get trapped in the town, and they have to face whatever traumas and issues they have that they haven't addressed in their life. It will manifest in that town in the form that you can overcome. And basically, if you go to Silent Hill and you make it through it, you're going to be a healed and better person afterwards, because the town, is like forcing you to face your traumas, to face things that you refuse to acknowledge about yourself, to face the darker aspects of your personality, of your life, of the things that you've done, the things that have happened to you. But if you get through it, you come out stronger. And you, like I said, become almost like a healed person. And it's just fascinating to me. And all the monsters in the towns have some really deep symbolism to them that is correlated to said issues and traumas that people have, At least from the second game onward. I don't know if there's as much symbolism in the first game. Like, for example, I don't think the nurses are symbolic of anything that the protagonist has gone through in that game. I think they're more just symbolic of things going on in the town. It's not until the second game where they get into that idea that a lot of these monsters you're seeing are twisted representations of problems you have in your life or shortcomings, like for prime example, Pyramid Head in Silent Hill 2 is, from what I remember, I could be a little bit off about this, but essentially he is a representation of James's desire to be punished for what things he's done that in his mind he can't forgive himself for, that he thinks are unforgivable. And I'm not going to go into spoilers, but about what those things might be. But, that monster, this unrelenting, almost like unavoidable, like juggernaut of a character that keeps moving forward, is a representation of his desire to be punished, because he doesn't think he deserves forgiveness for some of the things he's done in his life, type of thing. And I think it's really cool. So, yeah. Big fan of Silent Hill. Arguably, well, probably not more than Resident Evil as far as like how much I've gotten out of the series, but I think if you were to take a theoretical perfect Resident Evil game, which is Resident Evil 4, and a theoretical perfect Silent Hill game, there's a good chance I would rather play a perfect Silent Hill game, because I think as an idea, as a series, I think it has so much potential. It just hasn't been reached. Whereas I feel like the Resident Evil series has good potential, but it's kind of reached a lot of that, like, don't get me wrong, 7 and Village were great games, and I'm excited to see what they're doing with this style of game in the future. But I think, like, the remake of the original game kind of peaked as far as the top-down survival horror, like the tank controls survival horror. I think that one's kind of the peak for those types of games. Just so well crafted. And I think 4 is the peak for, the more action hybrid of that type of, genre for the series. And maybe this is another unpopular opinion. I think Resident Evil 5 is phenomenal. Is it scary? Not really. There's maybe a couple of sections that might be considered scary, but it's just such a blast to play with friends. Like, oh Nelly. And they made the combat in the game feel really fun and fluid, and there's some cool tricks you can kind of pick up on if you play the game a lot. So I am a big fan. So as far as the cooperative stuff and that genre goes, I could see Resident Evil 5 as being the peak for that too, you know? Like, but anyways, here's to hoping Silent Hill gets some love. And then, because especially after the PT, and there's a whole video that talks about how PT likely was never even planned to be in a game itself, and that it was essentially just like the world's most creative diss track to, Konami and stuff that Hideo Kojima did. When you like look into like all the little details in the game, like the dates they use, some of like the quotes, like there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But there's a really nice video that I'll link in the description that talks about it. But that was arguably one of the worst things to happen to Silent Hill fans, though, because it gave us hope, because that trailer was so good. I mean, you can find like PlayStations that have it that are selling for a ton of money just because they have that gameplay PT, because you couldn't download it for a while. At least that was the thing. Maybe you can download it again now, and that's no longer like a commodity. But I remember at the time that was like a thing. People were selling PS4s or PS3s or whatever it was. I think it was PS3s at the time that had that demo on it, because you couldn't re-download it after a certain point. They removed it from them, and people wanted to play it, and it was that enjoyable and cool and what's what I'm thinking of, immersive of a experience. So, but I've kind of been, rambling, talking a bit, and to be fair, that's kind of what I like doing with these ASMR videos a bit. It's just focusing on good sounds and good vibes. So, but that's gonna do it for this video. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. You'll have noticed that this was another video that was only one item again, the boxing glove. But I truly think out of my items, it sounds the best. So I kind of like focusing on it more until I get something else that might use it. Because when I watch, for example, Raffy Taffy, he has a couple items that he taps on that I think sound like 3 echelons of good ASMR higher than the rest of his items. And I love hearing them when he taps on them. But the problem is he doesn't tap on them as much as I would like, because he's doing all these other items. So I'm kind of doing my version of that, where it's like, I would love Raffy Taffy to have like a ASMR video where he taps on the little bird's pillow or the case that makes good sounds for the whole video type of thing. But he doesn't really do that. So I'm kind of doing that for myself with this, because I